Good morning, students. So welcome back. So last time we have talked about habitats. So what is a habitat? Before that we have talked about the adaptation, and then I have told you about habitat. So what is a habitat? Habitat is a dwelling place, home. Yes, exactly. And what habitat gives? Habitat gives to the organism food, shelter, water, air, and many other needs. It satisfies other needs of the organisms. So that is called as the habitat. So various plants and animals, they live in the same habitat. And there are various types of habitats. So the plants and animals that live on the land, so that habitat is called as the terrestrial habitat. Now terrestrial habitat, there are various types of terrestrial habitats: grasslands, deserts, mountainous regions, snow-bound regions, forests. So these are various types of terrestrial habitats. Then the plants and animals that live in water, they are said to be, that habitat is called as aquatic habitat. Now aquatic habitat is also of various types: rivers, lakes, and yes, of course, oceans. Most important thing, in these habitats also there are variations. For example, grasslands, there are variations found in these terrestrial habitats like grasslands, deserts, mountainous region, all over the world. Then these plants and animals that are the living organisms in these habitats, so they are called as biotic factors. What are they called? Biotic factors. So plants and animals, they are the biotic factors, while water, air, rocks, soil, heat, all such factors, they are called abiotic factors. Even sun's heat or light, that is also a biotic factor. So again, I'll just tell you what are biotic factor. Plants and animals, that is living organisms in the habitats, they are called as biotic factors, while sand, soil, rock, then sun's heat, air, water, these are all abiotic factors. Now see here, in some cases what happens, the organisms have to bring change, small changes in themselves. When there are small changes in their habitats. For example, I'll explain. For example, if you happen to go suddenly from the plain regions to the mountainous region, what happens? You find difficulty in breathing and doing your regular physical exercise, because you are not acquainted with it, and so because the conditions have changed, and so you find it difficult. But when you live there, after some days, these small changes are brought about. When you are on the mountain in the region, you need to breathe faster. So after some days, these changes are seen or are brought about in that particular organism, and he is suited for that changed conditions. Do you get it? So the small changes which are brought in a particular organism to overcome the small problems related to the habitats. That is called as acclimatization. What it is called? Acclimatization. It is called as acclimatization. Okay. Now, so that happens. We too have experienced it when there is a change in our surroundings. Factors, our biotic factors keep on changing. And so what happens? We too try to adjust to that. Okay, so this is nothing but acclimatization. Okay, and that each and every individual organism keeps on doing it. Okay, now these changes, they are small changes to overcome the smaller problems. Adaptation, it takes thousands of years. Keep this in mind. Now, as I have said, abiotic factors, they are important. So let us do one activity. What is the activity? We know that when seeds are soaked in water and kept aside, what happens? Yes, we have seen, they get sprouted. We have seen sprouting of chana, if you remember, and moong. Yes, and so what we call it as germination. So what you have to do, take some seeds of moong, keep 20 to 25 seeds aside, keep them aside. That is our one sample. Then the other part of the seeds, divide it into 4 different parts. Okay? From that, one part keep soaked in water. Keep that aside. Then take the second part, soak in water and keep it in sunlight. Third part, soak that seeds in water and keep them in dark room where light is not there. Specifically cupboard. If there is any cupboard where light does not reach, keep it in that. And the last part, soak them in water and keep them in very cool place. For example, refrigerator, you can keep it in that. Or if you don't have that, keep that seeds in ice. Means where ice is near them, continuous. Keep them for few days. See what happens. After few days, what you find, the first sample, 20 to 25 seeds which we have kept as it is, they don't germinate at all. They don't sprout at all. Right? Second sample, which was that? We have kept it soaked in water continuously. No doubt, keep this in mind, dear children. You have to change the water daily. Okay? And you have to rinse them very well, because otherwise it will smell foul. Okay? To avoid that, the water has to be changed continuously. So the second sample, which we have kept continuously under water, observe that. You will find that germination does not take place there even. Or a very small amount of sprouting may take place, but it is very slow, negligible. Then the third sample, which we have kept in sunlight, you will see sprouting takes place very well, and plants, they germinate, or the seeds, they germinate actually, and they grow into a plant. Okay, and the next sample that we have kept in dark, in cupboard, it does not germinate. They do not sprout the seeds, or they do sprout but very slowly. Why? Because they don't have sunlight. Okay, and the sample which we have kept in refrigerator or in ice, it does not germinate. So why this happens? In first case, it was having sunlight, air, but there was no moisture required for germination. Water was not there. In second case, where we kept continuously soaked in water, so it was not having ample amount of sunlight might be there, but air it was not having. it was not getting. So proper germination or sprouting did not take place. And large amount of water was there. Okay, then in third case, the plants, they sprouted very well because they got all abiotic factors in a proper manner, proper way as they wanted. The fourth sample we kept in dark room. What happened? There was no sunlight, so the sprouting was very slowly. And the last sample, which we kept in the refrigerator, what happened there? There, temperature was not there, proper temperature required for the growth, and so germination was not seen. What we can conclude, that abiotic factors like air, water, heat, sunlight, they are required by the plants. Rather, to be exact, they are required, they are necessary for each and every living organism. Okay, but then too, what do you find? As I have said, all these abiotic factors are part and parcel, they are essential to each and every living organism. But then too, we find in very cold climate, plants and animal exists. In very hot climate, plants and animals exist. How this happens? The reason is simple. They have undergone adaptation. Now, definitely, adaptation takes place over a long period of time. It is not a small process. It is a very lengthy process. It takes thousands of years. Why? Because these abiotic factors related to that particular habitat, they too change very slowly. And so, the organisms which bring changes in them, they survive. And the organisms which are unable to bring the changes in themselves, they die. They become extinct. Dinosaurs, they were not able to change themselves, they were not able to adapt themselves to the changing conditions, and hence, what happened? They become extinct. They died and they become extinct. That's what happens. But the one who have adapted, they survive. And law of nature is always survival of the fittest. That's what nature says. Okay? So keep this in mind. Now, so let us go through the various habitats, understand the abiotic factors, and let us study the adaptations brought about by the organisms in themselves. So first one from that, we are going to study terrestrial habitat, some of the terrestrial habitats. So first one from that is deserts. Now last time I have talked a lot about desert. What it was? Very high temperature during the daytime and very cold temperature at night. Only sand, scorching heat. So, I have talked about camel, that it has got long legs to prevent itself, to keep away its body from the scorching heat. But what do snakes do? How rats will bring about the adaptation, or how rats will protect themselves from this heat? Simple. They burrow themselves deep in the sand during the daytime. They live in burrows which are deep in the sand, and thus they keep away themselves from the scorching heat and they protect themselves. Do you get it? Then, next, let us study of some of the plants. I have talked about cactus. Now there is one activity. Last time we have done that activity related to the plants, that I have tied one polythene bag, if you remember, to one part of the stem, and we have kept them in sunlight, and we have seen that water droplets was collected on the inner side of the polythene bag. What it suggests? That plants, they lose water, that is called as transpiration, right? So what you do, take two samples, two plants, one of cactus and one of a regular plant, and again tie a polythene bag to the parts of the plant and keep them in sunlight. Observe what happens. After a few hours, when you see them, you will find lot of water getting collected on the inner side of the polythene bag for the regular plant. But for cactus, the amount of water which gets collected is very less. Why? Because it loses water to a lesser amount. It does not undergo transpiration on a large scale. It prevents that. So what are the adaptations in cactus? Basically, these plants in the deserts, that is cactus, they may not have leaves, or if they have, they will be very small, or the leaves may have converted into spines, kate, chote. Okay, so they may have got converted into spines. Do you get it? So that the loss of water due to transpiration is very less. Then who performs the function of production of food? Because we know, we have studied, leaves perform the function of photosynthesis. Then who performs this? The leaf-like structures you see in the cactus now, what are they? They are stems actually, green in color. So chlorophyll is present there. And these stems, they produce the food for the plant. Moreover, they have got a waxy layer over them so that they can store the water in their tissues, and loss of water to the environment will be very lesser. So these are the adaptations that are seen in the deserts. So next is mountain regions. So we will see that in my next video. Okay. I hope whatever I have discussed here, you have understood. Okay. And videos related to the activity 2 and activity 3, I will try to post it. Okay. Additional questions I will give on the WhatsApp group. Try to answer them. Okay. And if there is any doubt, feel free to ask me. So till then, goodbye. Have a nice day. Thank you.